A recent quote in Marketing Week stated this: "Like it or not, some of the creative we run today needs to be made for both people and platform algorithms in order to work. And that's before we even take into consideration the implications of AI. The reality is, we're not just crafting full funnel, insightful creative for our target audiences anymore. It's for ad platforms too. And that represents a fundamental shift in how we think about marketing. But worry not, we have two experienced marketing leaders with us today, ready to share their perspectives and help unlock today's integrated strategies for both creating and capturing demand. So let's dig in. Welcome to Humanology on Air. I'm Terri Cameron. In a recent episode, we explored the power of performance media with Travis MacDougall, and in a separate conversation, we dove into the impact of full funnel creative with Petrie. And one thing was clear in both conversations: creative and media are not just allies, they are inseparable partners. That's why today we are uniting these powerhouse minds to discuss why alignment is essential in an industry that is fueled by creativity and driven by data. So, Travis, let's start with you. Why is this especially important today? What is it that you see happening?
We have to continue to evolve our creative and media strategy, especially on the big platforms like Google and Meta. But what advertisers are really having a hard time with is, how do we not dilute the brand when you have all these different platforms that you're working with?
Exactly. We want to make sure that we're still leading with strong creative storytelling and still continually building that brand, but within the constraints of the different platforms, AI, the algorithm. And now that's why it's more important than ever for creative and performance media to really work in lockstep.
So let's start to unpack some of the challenges that we know marketers are wrestling with, and we'll start with fragmentation. There's a constant demand for more content, more campaigns, more touch points. Kate, how are we tackling this?
It's true that the kind of explosion of digital channels has really led to creative fragmentation and a very big challenge of trying to maintain consistency across channels. And to your point, the need to build more and more has really made it even more challenging for marketers. But I think now more than ever is really starting with that fulsome narrative, having that consistent, coherent brand message that lives from top to bottom. It's going to be not only necessary but imperative that you have that in order to keep up and really have consistently fresh creative.
So brands are managing to navigate the fragmented digital channels, but they're facing another critical challenge, and that's striking the right balance between brand building investments and performance-driven media buys. Travis, how do you see this all evolving?
So what we're finding is that brand and performance media tactics are converging. So brands are now having to find ways to have performance media also do brand building and vice versa. So traditionally, these budgets would be separate when doing planning, but now marketers are being tasked to do more with less. So you're seeing these budgets come together. So now you're seeing brands having to push the boundaries with their creative, making sure that you can still drive performance, but still maintain that brand essence at the end of the day.
All right, so we've covered how fragmentation is reshaping creative and media strategies, and we've talked about the evolving balance between brand and performance media investments. So let's do a quick nod to AI, obviously a game changer that is reshaping everything, especially with regards to creative. Kate, what are you seeing?
What we're seeing is that brands are adapting and leveraging AI to stay competitive while also trying to manage the disruption to creative roles and creative processes. And this really requires new skill sets, new workflows. It's a whole lot of new and a lot of new uncomfortable feelings.
I can absolutely see how that would create some discomfort for sure. So we've addressed the three key challenges that marketers are facing, one being fragmentation, the convergence of performance media and brand, as well as the rapid rise of AI. So what are we doing to address and overcome these challenges? Travis, what are your thoughts?
So we recognize that the advertising landscape is rapidly evolving. So we put together a few tips and tricks to try to help address those. So the first being integrated brand building and performance marketing. So this full funnel approach ensures that there's a cohesive message delivered through all the campaigns that you're doing. So this not only helps make sure that you're delivering short-term results, but it makes sure you have a cohesive brand message through everything that you're doing to make sure you can build long-term success in the future as well.
That's a great point, Travis. Creating that synergy will absolutely amplify the success of both. Kate, what do you think is next on that list of must-haves?
Next, I would say creative processes driven by AI. So by integrating these AI tools with human creativity, we're able to craft data-driven campaigns that really create a sense of trust. So whether it's optimizing writing workflows through tools like Grammarly or custom GPTs or generating images with Firefly or Midjourney, we're able to craft content that stays fresh and resonates with our audience. It's consistently relevant across all channels. So this leads us right into the third, which is really about how to navigate those fragmented digital channels by ensuring our brand's message is consistent and on strategy across all channels. And we really do that by performance media and creative coming together, working in lockstep and making sure that we're all on the same page from the beginning. This allows us to maintain the brand integrity while tailoring the content for those individual channels.
Those are really great points, Kate. It makes sense that AI and creativity can help kind of pave the way for managing those fragmented digital channels. Travis, you work really closely within those digital channels. What's next? What's missing?
So the next must-have is really about leaning into fragmentation. So what we mean by that is focusing on customization and personalization within the platform. So our approach really is meant to cater to each individual channel that you might be working with and ensuring that every piece of content resonates with your customers. So not only is it what consumers are expecting to see on the platform, driving that sort of immediate result and engagement, but it builds that sense of brand equity and you're delivering that message that customers expect to see on those specific platforms.
So Travis, you mentioned having kind of every piece of content or creative resonate with the audience. Kate, I'll come over to you. How do we make that happen?
Well, we do that by developing human-centric insights. So all of our data-driven decisions are really based in human insight, customer stories, cultural trends, emotive drivers. And by doing this approach ensures that all of our creative really connects with our audience and resonates authentically with our customers.
So we ensure this by having our creative and media teams being integrated at the very start. We call this our Humanology approach. This ensures consistency in everything that we're doing for our clients, but also allows us to adapt to different strategies in the evolving ad ecosystem and market because we know it's very fast-paced and always changing.
So I know we are talking about these challenges like they're in the future, but we know that they're already here and we've been navigating this changing digital landscape for a while now. So do either of you have an example for when you've really put some of these strategies into play?
Yes, I think a great example would be the work we did with Mitsubishi Canada. We leveraged Meta's digital circular solution to create a really engaging and rich experience for the customer. This not only allowed us to align our brand story to the strengths of the platform we were using, but it also allowed us to personalize it for the viewer. We were able to do some upper funnel, high level talking about the brand and really engaging in vehicle benefits and attributes, and at the same time engage them with real lower funnel tactics that were all about getting kind of feet on the floor and into the dealership.
So the results of this campaign actually really highlight the power of a full funnel approach. So the results were actually quite remarkable. Over a 6-week period, there was a 25% uplift in incremental sales with an estimated 68 times return on ad spend. This demonstrates the value of converging sort of brand and performance marketing tactics together and that it can still deliver results, but also highlights the power of combining your creative and media teams from the beginning to make sure you can deliver on these certain tactics.
Yeah, this sounds like a really great example of integration and leveraging a lot of these strategies. I know that there's a full write-up of this as a case study, both on the Jen Kelly website as well as on the Meta website for anyone looking to get a bit more information, right?
Right.
So now is the time that we jump into some of the pressing questions on the minds of marketers. Travis, we'll start with you. How does Jen Kelly integrate AI into the overall process without kind of losing that human touch?
That's a great question, Terry. So we'd have to look at all of our systems and where does AI really fit into that workflow. So we never want to lose that human touch as a part of it. So, are we using AI at the beginning in terms of ideation? Is it in the middle when we're kind of doing our review and tweaking what we're working on? Or are we using it sort of for our final production or our final outputs? It's just understanding what are those points in time where there's human input versus the AI input and building that into your workflow is how we address that.
So, Kate, a similar question for you. What's next in us advancing AI and human creativity into our processes?
So we're certainly going to continue to use AI for production as we see the need for scale and measurement grow exponentially. But as it moves from a tool of efficiency to more of a source of inspiration, you'll see it come to life more so in creative development, in drafting content. And it's really about taking our dreams and being able to bring them to life and making that accessible for everyone. So big budgets, small budgets, big brands, little brands, having the ability to create whatever they want.
And Kate, how can brands maintain consistency across digital channels when there's so much content to produce?
Well, it's certainly a challenge, but I would say that it simply comes down to two things, one of which we've talked about a lot, and that is really bringing together your performance media and creative and making sure you're all on the same page at the same time. And the second is really that full funnel narrative and making sure that it's the one source of truth for everyone on the team. And by doing that, you can create a ton of content and still make sure you're sticking to the core identity of your brand.
Travis, a little earlier on, you mentioned balancing long-term brand building with short-term sales goals. How do we make that happen?
So we do that by actually educating leadership teams on the importance of brand building, but also performance marketing at the same time. So what you see a lot of organizations do, they get really fixated on the short-term results and driving that immediate business uplift. But this really can get you trapped in the cyclical process, because as soon as that campaign comes on a market or your budget gets reduced, you see that immediate impact to the brand and the overall performance of the brand. So you really have to spend a conscious effort on doing both simultaneously. So when you do hit those slower periods or you do have shifts in your budget, that brand building that you did as part of your performance marketing can help carry you through those slower periods.
So as we wrap up, it is clear that the integration of creative and media is more important than ever in this digital landscape. If you've missed the previous episodes of Humanology on Air with Kate and Travis individually, you can find them on the Jan Kelly website. Kate, Travis, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
This has been Humanology on Air.